You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the December 13th, 2023 meeting of the LaPorte County Redevelopment Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
The Wednesday, December 13th, 2023 meeting of the Redevelopment Commission. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Here we go. Justin Keel,
Present.
Mike Rosenbaum,
Present from the start.
Scott Cooley,
Here.
Tom Fath,
Present.
Randy Novak,
Present.
Mark Parkman,
Here.
Rich Mrzinski,
Still here.
Rhonda Spence. Mr. President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Up next is the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or corrections?
I'd like to make an addition under new business item number 7, change order for D&M construction. That's a motion to approve with that amendment.
There's a motion to approve the agenda with this amendment. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Cooley. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. We now move to public comment. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak? Also, do we have the Zoom meeting going right now?
No.
No.
We got a presentation.
I think we advertise it with a link. If we can get that started, that'd be good. Are there any public comments? Any public comments? Moving on to the approval of minutes. In your packet are the minutes from the November 15th meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Cooley, second by Mr. Mrzinski. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Communications.
Recording in progress.
All right.
Communications.
Communications for November or December are the auditors for the treasurer's report, the Herald Argus for your publication of claims, D&M pay request 19. It's final pending change orders, and you have change order 13 in front of you tonight. RDC attorney emails regarding D&M pay request number 19 in the mechanics lien, which also has been released. There's a copy of that in your communications. Auditor's office to prepare the November, December automated POs. Picked up the mail at the auditor's office. You received your bank statements from USI and First Merchants, and they balance with your bond proceeds. You have $250,000 more or less left as retainage on the D&M contract if pay request 19 is final, which I believe it is. Deputy Auditor regarding RDC claims process. There's a lengthy discussion this month about how the RDC processes their claims, and Matt was able to resolve that. The Ready Grant, the final Ready Grant, claim number 3 has been submitted, and that should finish out the reimbursement for that project and pay back the county for the funds that we received. County planner read the planner transfer resolution, the deputy auditor read the planner payroll transfer, and the RDC attorney regarding the payroll transfer as well. Request to D&M for proof of payment of the lien to Ferguson. Sender's contract was transmitted. USI, their engineering firm, they reviewed pay request 19. And they had some questions about the pay request, and I forwarded that to Mitch. Deputy Auditor read the TIF distributions. You did receive your TIF distributions, and when we do the treasurer's report, you'll see that in your balances. And then the Ready Grant, we got new rules and regulations on that, but they don't necessarily apply to us because we've already filed our final claim. End of communications.
Thank you. Moving on to the treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report is as follows. US 421 TIF, your balance is after your fall distribution, $357,911. US 421 TIF, and all these balances are after your fall allocation. $99,029, that's to be used for your bond payment. KIDC TIF, $102,585. 39 North TIF, $103,707.
Thank you.
End of Treasurer's report.
Is there a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Mr. Merzinski, second by Mr. Rosenbaum. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. And moving on to the consideration of claims. You'll find the claims docket in your packet. There are two items for the KIDC TIF, one in the amount of $3,000 for a total of $4,196. Is there a motion to approve those two claims? Motion by Mr. Merzinski. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Rosenbaum. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to the US 421 number 1 TIF, there are 4 items for a total of $8,689.63. Is there a motion to approve those?
To approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Merzinski, second by Mr. Rosenbaum. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. And 39 North TIF, there are 2 items for a total of $2,500.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Merzinski, second by Mr. Rosenbaum. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. And that brings us to old business. US 421 I-94 TIF. Mr. Reardon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members. I'm going to really defer any discussion about this until Mr. Hall from Great Lakes Capital gets up here under new business. But tomorrow is the grand opening for the Love's Travel Plaza. So people say that they're giving away free gas and whatever you can carry out of there. They're not doing that. It is great.
Dangerous.
I know. I was just kidding. No, actually, it's pretty exciting that we got that done. It was a lot of challenges, boy. I just want to really thank the pipeline people for really helping us out with that project. Boy, that added 2 years to our exercise, but it got done. And as I mentioned previously, the key to that was extending the utilities and being able to develop property responsibly, so that we don't have any negative impacts to the environment. So that we have the ability to get the water, sewer, and help the people be able to manage their stormwater. So that's all I have for that project.
Quick question.
Yes.
Opening ceremony. Is there any opening?
It's not like a
No. Okay.
we're not in charge of.
I didn't know if they were doing something, ribbon cutting or whatever. So
I don't know. They're gonna spray gas around. I don't know what they do at gas stations. They're gonna.
just lead to such excitement.
I'm gonna ask. He knows what I'm asking.
Could be, maybe, I don't know. They're giving away truck tires. I could think of a lot of things I do trying to market this, but yeah, they're gonna open.
Did we get a check?
Did we get a check? We did not. We did not.
Where's our check?
Did they receive their occupancy?
They did.
They did?
Yeah, they did. I didn't want to stop Love's on behalf of the project when we have one bad actor who, said they'll pay us and chose not to. But please be advised that that same developer will be in front of the Plan Commission and will be in front of the Building Commission in the future. Rest assured that no building permit would be, my recommendation would be issued until they paid their debt to the county. And Mike's not here, but I can't ask him to do that, but they clearly have a debt to the county, so we're
He'll
just.
be back. He'll be back.
Oh, Vlad, he'll
Plus,
be back. He'll be
yeah.
back.
He's got a big project he wants to do right next to this
Yeah, he's proposing 300,000 square feet of
warehouse.
warehouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Mr. Parkman.
So just for the sake of conversation, I believe that debt was owed when I got on this council, if I remember right. Is there any amount of money, a penalty, something, because it was supposed to have been paid multiple times?
Right.
I don't know how it works typically, but I know the county's tight on different things, and I know it's a different fund, but if it's our money, maybe it could be making interest right now, so just kind of curious about that, if it's how it's normally done.
Was it correct me if was it a contracted item or was it a handshake item?
It was a verbal commitment like others we received for that area. Like when, you know, Michigan City Water said we'll contribute X dollars, well, they did it. When the county went and talked to the adjoining property owners and said, your percentage of contribution was this, they did it. So I'll take the blame for that. I should know better. No.
Let me rescue Mr. Reardon. So
No,
I looked at the issue. He said, should we bring forth before the commission to file suit? And I was saying, you know, nothing really good happens with litigation. In the long run, we'll end up getting paid. We have umpteen emails telling us, I'm going to pay you, I'm going to pay you, things are tight. You know, if we want to revisit this in 90 days, but, you know, you start throwing things in court, last year's cost money, it just, for $75,000 might not be worth it.
Couldn't agree with you.
But he did, but I'm going to throw you a bone, Matt. I'm going to pull you out of the drowning thing that you allowed something to happen orally as opposed to in writing. But we'll get the money.
What goes around comes around.
Well, its world is round.
Just
But-
quick,
Yes.
wasn't it actually been said on here by that person?
Oh, we have emails.
It's on video.
Yeah, and we have emails from him saying we owe the
denying it.
75 grand.
Not
He's not
denying it.
denying
I
it.
just,
He's waiting for the financing to come. He's putting a whole package together for the other
Yeah.
warehouse
I
parts.
get
He
it.
whiz, I can't wait to see his financing package, to be honest with you.
Right.
Happens to be in the TIF district. I wonder how that's gonna go.
Mr. Barkman, though, there's no ability to get interest though because there's no writing.
The only thing the principle of the matter
No.
for us, what do we look like when we say somebody gives us our word and then it doesn't happen and we don't do anything about it for more than a year? And we've said multiple times, well, it's going to happen at this point. It's going to happen at this point. And I get it, 75. It's not worth taking to court, but it's the principle. So I
think in the
looking
future,
for clarification.
in the future, we're going to slide him a piece of paper at some point and ask him to sign it.
Sign it in
Matt's doing
blood.
his job and he's trying to do it right. And most of the people are honest. And this guy might be too, but it's just we keep stringing it out. So I
Or
was just
put a
curious.
lien on his property.
Well,
Recording in progress.
but why
Yeah.
try to do anything? You know, that just bogs stuff down. And I guess to the point, Commissioner Parkman, so much the better that we kept our word and what was delivered by the county. And if other people don't want to keep their words, you know, there's recourse we could take. But at the end of the day, we asked the people who are going to have a benefit from this to help contribute. Some of them did, some of them didn't. We asked the landfill guys if they wanted to contribute. They went all the way to the end and they couldn't work out a transaction with the sanitary, so that kind of fell off. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's something to be said for getting it written down.
Thank
I
you.
should know better. I deal with developers a lot too. Yeah.
Don't put them all in the same.
Well, speaking of developers,
except for those. Except for those here.
back here going, oh my gosh. So
Any other items for the 421 I-94 TIF?
no, sir.
If not, we will move to the KIP TIF updates.
KAP TIF update. Mr. Limborg continues his project. He's negotiating with the Mark McPeak folks. He needs to get a little bit of easement. I met with Doug Beege and the Limborg guys last week to talk about that, how it would work. They're working through the process with them. The expectation at the end of this is Mr. Limborg on his cost will continue the rail, get the land, dedicate that over to us, and connect to the bridge. Jim Carroll on the other side will begin that in the spring. I think he cut back some of the property, so he's getting ready to go. I received an indication that there's they're doing construction, so they put a derail up there, and I kind of thought that was funny, but that's actually what it's called. The train will stop or derail, so it doesn't hurt anybody. But they're in process of doing that. Mr. President, it would now be a good time to kind of talk about the rail at KIP, because we did invite some members of the rail committee to come. Is this a good time to talk about that?
Sure.
You did it, guys. Thanks. for those of you who may have been around, some of you were on the rail committee. This is a it's been a pretty long standing effort to get this under control. So, you know, your challenge was multiple ownerships of an asset that ran into a place that is controlled on the outside of the asset by the rail industry, and so you had all those fun things going at once. When the county moved forward and the previous development entity was able to deliver what they promised to the county took title to those assets, which include the easements and the improvements for all the rail. And so that means you, redevelopment, are all the way out. Part of that, and a lot of the discussion had to do with the rail committee, and Joe and Russ were on that from the beginning, and they've heard all the stories about it's a coming, and this guy's the next guy. And at the end of the day, it really took efforts of the rail committee and the redevelopment commission and the council and the commissioners to get their heads together and do this. Now, you know, the county has millions invested, the state has millions invested, the owners have millions invested. So suddenly we got, you know, suddenly it's real money. People are paying attention. The majority of transactions that are being we're responding to from the state and other places deal directly with rail. They want rail on site. How does it get there? The last 3 site visits were, how does my rail get from there to there? It's a pretty easy conversation. I'm like, here's Up Road, here's your property, it comes off Up Road. Which carrier do you want? It can come from both. The you know, Joe or Russ, do you guys have any comments or questions? I mean, we completed the rail bridge, which was, you know, it was kind of a interesting Ready grant. It was like, let's try and do this, but, yeah, come on.
It's just it's just a good thing to see this finally coming to fruition, because I don't know how many years we've been at this. I couldn't even begin to tell you now how long it's been, but I know I've been with it since the beginning. I think Joe and a couple others, we've been, you know, with it since the beginning, and it's really good to see it.
Yeah.
If you said 18 years, it would not be fine, all right? Now, the other good thing for commissioners, they understand there's a lot of things and possibilities happening right now out of Kingsbury because of what's happened with the railroad and the bridge.
Right.
You understand that? There's things happening that are good for all of us right now. Would have never happened otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Q.
So I urge you to go view the rail bridge. There's no trains on it yet. We got to connect it, but it's there. You know, thanks to the forum and the IDC for the Ready grant, that helped. I mean, it helped. It became a catalyst. You know, the owners on the other sides are like, you know, they're really starting to believe it. They're like, well, you guys really are going to try and help us. Said we would from the beginning, but you know, you had to show your continued investment. It's a big place. I can tell you from the site visits that happen, people, they see this on a map. Oh yeah, it's King. It says it's an industrial park. You know, they're like, they get it in their head and they get out there and they're like, so where are we in relation to Lake Michigan? I'm like, it's over there. Where's the city we were in? I'm like, that's that way. And I'm like, oh, by the way, the park keeps going down there another half mile, but that's all nature preserves. So we're harnessing the opportunity to use this asset and working with the people that are majority owners. So that's really a good thing. The CSX is out there, according to Mr. Carroll.
That's what I was gonna.
Putting in the switch. So hunters beware, public service announcement. Do not be by the tracks. Don't hunt by the tracks. I think the Federal Transportation Authority might have an issue with you doing that, so be careful out there. Don't go by rail cars and all that stuff, and stay on the hunting ground you at least. Probably a good idea. I know that there's been some activity out there. Some of the owners keep sending me pictures of people parking cars, and I'm like, hey man, people got a license to hunt, and they're out there hunting as long as they leave peaceably. That's good stuff. But yeah, there's going to be, you know, there's video surveillance by and around the tracks, and it's there for a reason. It has to do with some requirements that JBC Rail had to adhere to do that. So. Those are requirements from the railroad, and it has to do with what is it called? The
Homeland Security.
Homeland Security, correct. Thanks. I forgot, I blocked that out. That was an excuse for a lot of years. It's Homeland
I
Security.
did talk to a friend of mine that rents heavy equipment, and they rent to CSX, and they said they came and rented the equipment, so they said it's sitting out there, so.
Yep.
They anticipated being in within the next couple weeks, so.
Yeah. So that's good news. So got the 2 Class 1s. We got the switcher. We got a little bit of gap in the track left, but after that, we're ready to go.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments on the KIP TIF? If not, we'll move to the 39 North TIF update.
39 North TIF update, as Mary Jane pointed out, there's 103,707 in the 39 TIF. At some point, the recommendation to the Redevelopment Commission will be to dissolve that. I have yet to have a detailed conversation with the city of how they would like to do what they need to do so that they can continue the utilities pursuant to their agreement with 39 North. I'm not sure what the flexibility of funds generated in a TIF are. I'm getting slow in my old age. But I do think that you need to release those funds back to the overlapping taxing districts, I think. Or I think you could focus some of those dollars on improvements related to what the city might do in partnership. So those are kind of your options, but I'll specify the use of funds. But I do think they go back to the overlapping districts once you retire it. And then there's no purpose for, we need to, it's city property. We don't have you can't have a pancake TIF, as my friends at Ice Miller say. So, we wouldn't have a need to do that.
Can we, in the same, I think we kind of touched on this last meeting, then extend our TIF out, look at extending that all the way out to 20?
If you tell me to take a look and get the information together to do that, we would have to create a new one.
Right.
Go through the process.
Well, as we dissolve this one, I'd make a motion that we look into that and have you come back and report, so.
Second. Doesn't matter who.
As part of that, I'd ask that you also talk with the city just to kind of get a feel for what their goals for that area are and make sure that we're working with those.
Sure.
But with that, there's a motion by Mr. Novak, a second by Mr. Mrzinski, I think.
Yes, it was.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it.
Okay.
Any other 39 North TIF updates, comments, questions? If not, we'll move to the 3594 TIF updates.
To be determined, we're going to go meet with the new administration. As was pointed out at the last meeting, there was a dedication of ARP funds for utilities to be extended. We're going to have a conversation about that to see if the city is desirous of trying to get more customers or what their appetite is for the county spending money on their utilities to help them get more customers and get more development. And I'll report back to this body and let you know what their direction is. Obviously the previous position was untenable and not a wise investment by the county to continue to do that in an adversarial manner. I'm hoping we can get that cleared up with the new administration, be able to find some common ground about development, some of their ideas and when or why, or how they're going to do annexation, and how we can really politely stay out of their way and allow them to do annexation as it's their role to do it, and play a supportive role in that. We would invest in we the county government would invest in the infrastructure, pretty simply. I mean, the goal is
recording in progress.
Things sure acting up.
It's been in progress. Yeah.
I'm talking too much and I'm getting muted by the Zoom people. They're like, all right, that's enough in this guy.
Big brother.
So that's all I got. And while we're old business, just briefly, we're going to continue with the 90 PNC Westville
Right.
421 thing. I mean, you guys authorized that last time. Bailey has kind of put together a schematic, just a base map. Tom's been very helpful about contacting the landowners. So I don't want anybody surprised, and I don't want anybody to see a map in the paper and, hear from 10 people or read on Facebook that, boy, oh boy, what happens when this happens. We're just going to mitigate that stuff up front. It seems to make the most sense.
Are you looking at staying only on one side of 421 or both sides potentially?
Both sides, yeah.
Okay.
There's a pretty good chunk of land on both sides.
Yeah, some of the
Commissioner Fath can relay it.
I've been reaching out to some of the landowners. I've had positive feedback from some. We've been bouncing calls back and forth. A couple of the larger ones, it's after New Year's just because of the time, coming into holidays and they're business owners. So I'm hoping after New Year's we can find out more.
That'd be good.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
That brings us to new business. I'm sorry.
No, comment to him of good efforts on his part.
Yes, absolutely. Moving on to new business, Great Lakes Capital 42194 project presentation.
I'm going to give the promo for my friends at Great Lakes Capital. Jeff Smoke and his group built projects all over the Midwest. They do a pretty fair amount of that in Indiana. Some of the recent project successes have to do in South Bend and in one of my former places of employment, the good old city of Hambone. They built a pretty big size project right there on the state line. Here today to give their presentation, I'm just going to run through it here on the screen, is Isaac Hall. He's going to talk about the project. We also do have Trista here from Center and Company to answer any questions about TIF and how it would work. I know the commission directed me to move forward to talk about the project. Great Lakes Capital came to the last commission meeting, was approved for their zoning, so they've taken things in a progressive manner and done things responsibly from the development standpoint, and now we're at the back end and ready to work where we can assist them. And I'm going to call Isaac to come on up and just kind of run through the presentation and introduce his team in Great Lakes and their affiliation with Bradley Brokerage and Real Estate. So Isaac, go ahead.
Thank you, Matt, and good afternoon. My name is Isaac Hall with Great Lakes Capital, 7410 Aspect Drive in Granger, Indiana. Here to talk to you a little bit about our project that we're looking to pursue here in LaPorte County. Matt, if you want to go to the first slide, that'd be great.
Just these are the same that we have in front of us.
Yes, correct.
Just thank you very much.
Yeah. So I'm sure you're all aware of the demand for industrial real estate in this region in LaPorte County. We have been aware of this property for about a year now and looking to build an industrial development here to fill that need. Great location on I-94 and have about 22 acres to work with here. The proposed development would consist of two buildings, one 210,000 square foot building, which you can see in the back of the rendering there, and then one smaller 76,000 square foot building there. Thanks, Matt. And so these would both be speculative projects or speculative buildings, meaning we don't have a tenant in hand right now, but as construction goes on, we would actively market it for leasing. The larger building would be more marketed towards a warehouse or storage user. Examples, we have tenants such as Amazon, AM General, CTDI, just a couple in South Bend to give examples there. And the smaller building would be marketed more towards general contractors, a smaller warehouse user where they'd have a showroom in the front, utilizing that storefront, and then a warehouse in the back. And just a little bit more about the site there, 22 acres, visible from I-94, which is a very big deal for logistics type users, which we serve. Flat topography, heavy haul road there on County Road 400, but then also having access on County Road 375 on the south side of the site. All the utilities are in place, so we wouldn't have to run anything out to it. And really, it's all about the location, right? So it's on I-94, which is the corridor between Chicago and Detroit. We develop assets in Kalamazoo and Battle Creek, which we capitalize off that location near I-94 because it's such a main industrial route between those two locations. Next slide. So total project cost, looking at about $29 million right now. In a little bit more detail on each of the buildings. Both would be precast or pour-in-place concrete structures. As I said, both flexible for a speculative project, meaning we can accommodate for various different types of tenants that would be interested. Next slide. That's good. Thank you. This is the northernmost building, so this would face County Road 400. And what I wanted to speak about at the rezoning meetings is how this really is more of a commercial type look rather than an industrial look, which really kind of matches what is in that area. Walmart is directly across the street. And then these are some aerial renderings. The one on the left is looking north, so you'd be looking north into Michigan City. And then the one on the right there is looking to the west, so that gives you a good idea of what the entire development would look like. A little bit about Great Lakes Capital, founded in 2005 by Ryan Rands and Brad Toothaker in South Bend. Since then, grown to over 900 million in assets and working in over 11 states with over $1 billion in development right now. And then our pipeline, you can see there, we're pretty heavy in the industrial side, and that is what Jeff, Smoke, and I do primarily is industrial. This is just a little bit about the team. Myself and Jeff will be working directly on this project, but others will be involved as well. These are a couple ongoing developments that we have right now. As Matt mentioned, 24 Marble Street in Hammond, 400,000 square foot speculative development that we are working with a couple tenants right now to fill up. Portage Prairie 5 in South Bend, that one is just coming online too, looking at a couple different tenants there. And then you can see the other ones there in the general northern Indiana, southern Michigan region. These are just a few other examples of developments we've done in the past in Indiana, Michigan. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions that you have about the project.
Any questions?
Are you looking to use local contractors, or do you have a construction team that follows you around?
So we're working with majority builders on this project, but what we would do is we would make sure that they give a last look to any local contractors. We could come up with a list. So they'll go out for bid, and then we'll go back to that list of local or preferred contractors and say, here's your chance to beat the lowest bid. So we would open that opportunity for any local contractor, yeah.
Any other questions?
Matt, will this project fall within, will the RBO be in effect?
Yes.
Okay.
They're aware of the RBO is in fact. I made sure that the gentleman had it. That question came up. I'm sorry, I should probably know. Thank you, Commissioner Cooley. The question of the responsible bidder ordinance did come up, and just for those who don't know or how it works, our responsible bidder ordinance is targeted toward public works that are done in the jurisdiction. The Redevelopment Commission last year signed on and passed a resolution supporting the responsible bidder ordinance. Consequently, those people who wanted to use incentives from the Redevelopment Commission will follow the RBO. So Jeff and Isaac and his team are aware of that. And, the idea is we want skilled, quality craftsmen, women, people to work on the project. We also want to make sure that local contractors get an opportunity to bid on jobs, bid on work, get last look. And I've worked with Jeff on a couple things, and I really do like the last look, because a lot of contractors come into situations and they're going to make an investment, and then communities say, well, I want you need to do this stuff, but by that time it's kind of over. But having this kind of a process that they go through, because the truth of the matter is the people that they may be working with, or their general today, needs to be aware of the fact that this is competitively bid, and they are going to. So I'll be working with this team to develop a list of contractors we have, and I'll work with the trades to make sure we have a list. I know that these gentlemen are familiar with it. I mean, you just heard where they built, they're building in South Bend and they're building in Hammond. So, it's hard to not be intimately aware of and engaged with the friends of the building trade. So they're good with that. So they're doing what they need to do, and following the local rules, and they're aware of it. So I think that's important. So
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Reardon or Mr. Hall?
When did you say when you're planning on starting construction?
So we're looking at a spring start. The goal would be to really get started in April, May. And then from there, it would be about a 12 to 14 month construction timeline when we'd have certificate of occupancy and be ready to bring in a tenant.
Great.
Okay. And I don't believe there's any action items on this for us today. This was just purely informational, correct?
Correct. Yeah, the council already authorized us to begin the bond process, and so what I'm working with Sender, and why don't you come on up and run them through. What we looked at is making sure we had an equitable split of the proceeds and being able to finance it at a level. So I'm going to turn it over to the professional.
Thanks. Hi, Trista Hudson from Sender Dalton. Carl Sender is normally here, as you know, and I normally would not look at my phone in a presentation, but he had sent an email that wasn't worth me rewriting notes onto paper. As you know, I think everyone is familiar with the Economic Development Bond, a tool in your toolbox to help give some incentives back to developers that are wanting to come into your area. This certainly sounds like a worthy project. Numbers are still a bit in flux, right? Because the entire project hasn't been finalized yet. But currently, Carl's sizing is that if 85% of the TIF were used, so if you recall, with the Economic Development Bond, the property owner does pay his taxes. That portion of the TIF increment then comes back. In this particular sizing right now, 85% would be returned to him then as the bondholder. 15% would be kept by you all for use in your regular RDC procedures. If the bond were sized out for 23 years, which is a little bit longer than a number one we had done for you all back in April, the project itself then could recover about $3 million. There are some costs associated. The total size of the bond would be about 3.3. So there's costs for capitalized interest and then cost of issuance that come off of that to leave that remainder $3 million. There had been some conversation previously about 100% of the TIF going back to the developer. That would not leave any in the RDC coffers, and I think based on the timing of the life of the bond, that 85% became a little bit more appropriate for all parties involved. The other consideration will be to look at the life of the allocation area itself. If you use it presently as it stands, it would expire in 2040. Because of the length of the time then, that bond might need to be a little bit smaller, just under 3. Taking out the costs would give a little bit less, maybe 2.6 to 2.8 for the project. Getting a little bit into the weeds, if instead we carve out this property and create basically a sub-allocation area, the life then could extend for the full 25, which would be able to encompass that 23-year plan that he was looking at earlier, well, last night I suppose it was. So having that sub-allocation area allows then a full 25 years to be attributable to the bond, and that could go back then and allow for that little bit higher amount, the 3.3 million. Any questions? Obviously still some things in flux, and so I feel like I don't have definite exact answers for you, but that gives you a broad picture of where the conversations have been headed.
Questions? I'm wondering, is it standard practice to create a sub-allocation area for a single project, or are you going to end up with a whole bunch of sub-allocation areas within a TIF then that are expiring at different times?
Yeah, it's a good question. Depends on your area, right? I don't know that that's happened too much in LaPorte County. I'd have to research that a little bit more myself. Just from my own personal knowledge, I can tell you that Valparaiso has done that very successfully on a few occasions for a real good reason. Exactly the reason that we're talking about, to be able to benefit that developer as best possible, still leaving some benefit for you all here in the county for the RDC. And of course, development spurs more development, right? And so the best way that you can use the tool in this situation might be that. Would we suggest that every project get their own carve out? No. Some bonds may not be this big. Would be a reason that they wouldn't need one. Lots of different reasons. Journeyman is a prime most recent example that we worked on with them by chance in Valparaiso, and did do that carve out for that. It's really project specific. It's your overall plan specific. and really looking forward to what is the future intention of the use of the money. For this situation, it really just is to the bond for this developer project. There are others that you may intend to use some of that TIF proceeds for other projects and development within the area, and in that regard, then you would want that proceed available. So, not intending to be a roundabout answer, but there's just a lot of variables.
That covers it.
Really, typically for a private activity bond with a specific purpose, you try and create its own allocation area so that there's no confusion on the proceeds, where it goes, and from this. So from a, tax standpoint, auditor standpoint, you're going to have, 421 TIF number 3, that's TIF, Isaac Hall. And so the tax revenue paid by that project goes into that fund. Then there's no confusion for the anybody related to the project. The underwriter knows, the bank knows, they know how it goes. So that's a
With revenue that the RDC is getting, that 15%, 85 is going to the other bonds that you discussed. The 15% we retain, can we spend it anywhere within the TIF district, 421 TIF, or is it strictly limited to that sub-allocation area?
If we create a sub-allocation district, it doesn't stay in that?
I would argue that, I will defer to legal counsel, not particularly this one. I would argue that inter-serving the district is an eligible use of TIF funds. In or serving the district. Does that cover it, sir?
Yes, but we have to look into that.
Sure.
I'd hate for that 15% to get trapped in a really small area where we have a very limited set of projects that we could potentially use it for. So, yeah, getting clarification on that would be
I
helpful.
concur with Matt's statement, but.
Okay, I think that's all I got for questions. Does anyone else?
That one.
What? That's it.
Can't spend it. That's where the old inter-serving the district comes from.
If there are no other questions, then we will move on to the consideration of Senator Dalton's 2024 contract. A copy of which is included in your packet. Are there any questions for the representative from Senator Dalton?
No, I don't have any questions. I believe we should note that the fee is the same.
Correct.
And so
It is same as been for like the last 3 years, 2 years.
Yeah, and therefore I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum, second by Mr. Parkman. Mr. Novak? I don't know. We'll give it to Mr. Parkman this time. It's close. It was a tie. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Consideration of MCR Partners 2024 contract, also included in your packet.
I think he's giving us a 50% discount.
50% discount? Oh, man.
Just kidding.
Motion to approve.
You get a motion.
Yeah, so it doesn't matter. I was going to make the motion, the joke, but.
Mr. Mrzinski made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Rosenbaum. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Consideration of MJ Thomas and Associates 2024
I don't know
contract.
about that one.
Did you jack your price? Did you jack your price just to be different? No? All right.
Same price again. Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum, second by Mr. Parkman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Consideration of Guy DiMartino 2024 contract.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum, second by Mr. Novak. Any further discussion? Prices are the same, presumably?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, because we had updated for the hourly rate from the 150 to the 175.
Right. There's no litigation.
Yep.
So if someone had last year's contract when it said 150, but then we updated it, so I'm just trying to do it.
It's just a flat rate though, other than, just.
Yeah, it's been a flat rate.
Yeah.
Yep.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. And consideration of proposed 2024 meeting schedule.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Just want to, along the order of contracts, the chairman and I had a brief discussion, and I believe that the compensation for the position of planner as it relates to redevelopment would be covered under economic development income tax would be the appropriate venue. So I will request or spend out of the ask or request that $10,000 additional dollars be utilized for not administrative costs, but costs to operate that. That way it's just cleaner and there's no misunderstanding. And again, sources and uses, economic development lit,
economic development activities. That, I mean, you're the accountant. I wanted to look at you about this.
I know, I
This matter stems from a concern from the auditor's office. They flagged an issue that statute may prevent us from using TIF revenues for the purpose of paying Mr. Bishop for certain purposes. So that's why we may need to be looking to using economic development lit.
Can I be heard on that issue also?
Of course.
I would also, if you're going to do something like that, you really need to look at Ms. Thomas's also, because that's more administrative. So if you're going to go that route, so you're probably looking at $25,000 thereabouts.
And there's budget in there depending on what level of marketing activities and whatnot would be moved forward from the the countywide economic development stuff. It's not an increase really, so to speak. It's a realignment of funds to make sure we're just doing it that way. Now, I will say this, that payment of or for redevelopment activity, it depends on how you keep score. You could attribute those things to these other areas, but because there are funds to do so, and the county levied an economic development income tax, and you're using it for economic development purposes, it seems to make more sense.
Seems like a safe use. Are there any questions or comments on that topic?
No, the only comment that now that we've discussed it and we've already approved someone else's contract, if we need to move it in later.
Well, I know there's been some discussion about trying to bridge RDC and economic development.
Yes.
Can
Together.
we get a planning meeting after the first year to?
That sounds like a great idea.
Get together.
I think where we're at right now, Mary Jane can attribute her time to each of the districts, as I could do. It vacillates. I remember when Commissioner Rosenbaum got on the council, and he's like, how does this work? I'm like, I could be working on one area of 50 hours at a set rate, and next month none, or so it fluctuates. So we tried to spread out the focus, and so the attention is spent. Right. What is clear in the statute is this, that you cannot pay for staff out of TIF money. That's what it says. Now, I would argue that Mary Jane Thomas is a professional service and providing a service related to the districts, and I would argue that Mitch Bishop is a professional planner that's providing services in the district. But if it's cleaner to have the money be paid out of economic development, so be it. But I don't know that there's a fundamental issue with the way it was done previous. But
I'd like to make a motion or a recommendation that prior to our January meeting, that we have a maybe not as quite as long.
It was only an hour and a half.
Just saying. But we have a workshop on trying to bring this.
We'll get that.
Bring those two together.
I think that's a prudent idea. Just sort it out. So I am.
Put it all under one.
Mr. Rosenbaum, it doesn't change the contract.
I'm good. If we're just gonna, we're good.
I think
is it not true that the county lit tax contract would triple for Mary Jane? Is that what happens?
Well,
you might get a different contract. I'm just kidding. No, the contract would be but thank you again for working with our team. We appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, keep us posted on that project.
Oh, absolutely. There, as you saw, the folks at Great Lakes Capital, they're ready to go. They had a gap. They talked about it. They were coming at us with metal buildings and other opportunities. They said, nope, I can't look like that. We want it to look. We appreciate the try, but it needs to look better and different. And so that's what they did.
And if you step aside, so you think, just let the people, the powers to be, anybody above you know that we appreciate you guys doing business in LaPorte County. We look forward to working with you. So we appreciate it.
Absolutely. Consideration of proposed 2024 meeting schedule toward the back of your packet. You'll have the meeting dates. Is there a motion to approve those?
One moment. The September 25th usually runs into difficulty with the AIC conference.
Yeah.
So I'm going to recommend that we do it as presented here. And then if we need any change, we've done this before, make the change as we get closer.
Right.
So that's the only thing. I've already checked certain holidays that it does not interfere.
And then just note the last two have been changed because of the holidays. So they're the ones that don't fall in normal.
Yeah, the normal.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. They're not the 4th
Yep.
of the month.
Motion to approve with Mr.
Second.
Rosenbaum's
Motion by Mr. Novak, second by Mr. Rosenbaum. I'd add, could you get please, Mary Jane, could you, or whoever, could you please get this on the website after this meeting? That way people can add it to their calendar and whatnot. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it. Our last item, D&M change order number 13. Mr. Bishop, could you give us an update on this item?
Yeah, the change order is specifically for the pipe under 421. There was a discrepancy in our QAW in their plan set and the quantity for the pipe on 421, and in the real world, when they actually lay it in the ground, there's so many feet that wasn't expended how it needed to be. That was the reason for the change order. So it came up to what, $3,600. That should be the last one for the job.
And you said we got 250,000 still there?
There's a retainage.
Right.
Yes, we have his retainage, so you'll have to discuss with Mitch when he feels it's appropriate to release that retainage.
Oh, yeah. So there is a list that I put together. I haven't given it to him yet. This was just devised a couple days ago.
Punch list?
Yeah, we have a punch list. There's about 8 different items that will be included. And just so you know, NIPSCO still hasn't hooked up the electric to the lift station.
The electrician, the one right there in front of his place, they were working on it this afternoon.
Yes, they're supposed to be out there. But we still have to go through the startup procedure with the lift station. Hopefully that's next week.
What time are they opening Love's tomorrow?
I'm still noon.
Don't flush the toilets, or
It's temporary pumping.
Oh, okay.
That's it. That's a big taking. That's a big Michigan City Sanitary. They're dumping in there for free, of course. So, yeah, but that's only going to last hopefully a week.
I seen that electrical contractor out there working on making some connection there today.
Yeah, all the items that came up from last month meeting and those change orders. There was a fusible disconnect.
Right.
That's all been done, and the meters have been installed. So the last thing is just to basically run power to the lift station, and that's kind of where we're at now.
So this.
No, I have a clarifying question before we make a motion.
Okay. It might be what mine is. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to, we're being asked to make a motion to approve this, but I don't know, can we pay this?
No, it's gonna have to go
We didn't
on,
advertise for
it's gonna
it.
have to go on claims.
Okay.
It was already advertised.
Was it advertised? Oh, then you want to amend your claim docket, right?
The docket that you approved the amount he asked for on 19, which included that 3,672.
Okay.
Then it was taken care of?
So it's taken care of.
All right. Is that a motion?
With that, is there a motion?
One, do we?
We need a motion.
It needs a change order still, yeah.
Motion to approve the change order, I make that motion.
Second.
There's a motion, a second to approve the change order for an amount of $3,662.72. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Other business, is there any other business before the commission today?
Motion to adjourn.
One question.
Oh,
Sorry.
Mary Jane, did you say that the lien had been fully released?
yeah. It's in your
100%.
pack. It's in your pack.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in, yeah.
Thank you.
The release of lien is in your packet.
Thank you.
The next meeting of the Redevelopment Commission is January 24th, 2024 at 4 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Scott?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Mr. Rosenbaum, second by Mr. Parkman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Nice.